Your emotion and your perception are related to your understanding of the elements. In order to be like water, you must study it. For without that kind of proximity, understanding, and mastery, you will just spill everywhere you go. My name is Stacy Patrice. Welcome back to my channel. And I would love to talk a bit about emotions and feelings through the elements and how observing the elements in nature and understanding them is just one part of the process. But actually knowing that you embody those same elements and that your energy and activities on a daily basis are constantly sharing through the elements is a whole other part of the process. So I was thinking about this today. I was working with my students to the east, all these amazing souls that gathered to deepen their astrological knowledge. And we started talking about the elements. And I really was like, I really miss having people to talk to about the elements. It's one of the things I love the most. And I'm specifically talking about the elements that you can find in Vedic astrology, which would be earth, wind, fire, water, ether. And in this process, there are vacant spaces, there are active spaces, and there is known and unknown with all of these elements. Don't ever believe that just because someone has studied something, that there's still not something that's unknown. Elements are constantly joining each other, constantly combining and creating new environments, new conditions, um, all the time. And it doesn't mean that those are what people choose to study or choose to share that they have studied. Sometimes we look at the elements as being like this age old descriptor of something that we were told at some school in our earlier years, probably when we were single digits. And that's how we understand the elements. But how do you understand the elements at this juncture of your life? You know a lot, right? You're here, you know a lot. So, how do you understand the elements? And how do you understand them and when they're at play in your lives through other people, through your own capacity, but also through other people's capacity, the way that people do a thing that they do. And I'm saying this because I love that when I think of fire, I have so many images that come to mind. I think of a person who is steady, a person who initiates, a person who continues doing the same thing. And it just seems like there's something that's lighting them up, something that's inspiring them, and they keep doing it. I love to think of fire as the candle, but also the pilot on my stove. It's also the heat that's keeping me warm. It's the thoughts when people look at me in a loving way and they're like, man, I just wanted to tell you I love you so much. Like, oh, so warm. The passion also, the wildness, the destructive nature of fire, and how when that happens, there is always something not so fond and not so, internally warm that takes place. But what about those passionate, fiery individuals? No matter their astrological signs, what about that energy of passion and fire and intensity and quickness? What about those people that burn bridges? How you feel about that? What about that energy when you can't wait to do something? You have zero patience. You just are constantly pushing and aggressing toward something, and you have no pause. What about that fire? What about on the water tip? We all drink water. It keeps us balanced. We all need water. We are watching the snow, which turns into water. Eventually, it will melt. We are thinking about the ways in which we can freeze things and the ways in which things can flow. We're thinking about our own feelings, our own ideas, when we hold back emotion versus when we let it be. When we are talking to people in a way that could be emotionally assaulting, like just constantly putting everything we feel on other people that didn't ask for it. What about when we are trying to nourish or sustain something or enliven something without damaging it? Sometimes we need water, but also we don't need water because it may damage other things that we weren't looking to touch because it is able to be contained, but it's also quite wild. What happens when people start to embody those personalities? Let's move over to Earth, right? Earth, we're talking about something that is solid, something we can trust. until there is a quake. Then we start to think about the core and the layers and what's at the bottom of the earth. What is at the base of what it is that we are sitting in, this bowl we are sitting in. We start to think about, maybe mining or excavating or crystals and all of these things. When anytime you extract something, pulling something from something, all of these qualities that all seem really strong. But what happens when you have a person who's literally your rock, a person who's steady, a person who's there with you, a person who is just unwavering, but also quite stubborn, also very fixed, not a person that wants to see and find out. They want it done the way they want it done. What happens when you encounter that as well? And also thinking about Earth, what happens when the Earth starts to come in contact with other elements? How does it maintain its integrity and structure? Are those other elements more powerful than it? Or is it just a changing state because it refused to change otherwise? Right? So, some of these qualities, what about when you're thinking that you want to be stable and you want to be secure and everything around you is changing? You just can't stomach it. You can't take it because you're like, for goodness sake, there's enough change going there. There's enough things going wild. I just want something that's not wild, something that's as still as a rock, that can be still and quiet and fixed so that I can rest. And then what happens when that doesn't happen? And then, of course, on the fourth tip, of course, we're going to have air. And we have air, and most people think of air as just being kind of like invisible, like you can't see it, it's not a form, but it is shaking the very nature of other forms. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. It exists in a way that you can't see it, but when it wants to be seen, you can't deny it. Air comes through and moves things. It knocks things over, it rattles things, it shakes things, it makes things make noise. It makes things want to know if what they thought was solid is actually solid. And don't we do that with our thoughts as well? Don't we sometimes interrupt the ways that people think with our thoughts and our words? And sometimes the intention that we have to be able to interrupt the order that is currently present. And how air is permeating, how their air carries scent. And you know that there's a scent, but you might even be able to find out where the scent is coming from, but you can't see the air. You can't see the air. And so it makes itself visible by what it touches. And words do this as well. And sometimes with our own emotions, sometimes we can overtalk or not say the right things or use the wrong words. And it can make people feel very different about that transmission because it's not connected to the ways in which things are. And lastly, we have Akash or ether or space. In space, I love to talk about because it is one of the unknowns that humans have been trying to learn more about for so long. It is one of the more miraculous parts of our understanding. And yet, there's still so much we don't know. And there's still so many people that are looking to join the ranks of people who are willing to explore more about it. But when I say space, I want you to think about stillness. I want you to think about the fact that you as a person are to take in what you can feel. And in order to feel, sometimes you have to be still. Not that the space is still, because it's not. It's very much active. There's a lot going on in space. But what about the void? What about the things that are not going on? Do we add to the orchestra? Do we allow the things that are already in motion to play out and we just simply observe? What is our relationship to space? And how can we internally know when we need more space? Is it time to talk or is it time to be quiet? Is it time to move or is it time to be still? All of these things happen. But more importantly, when I think of space, I'm thinking of the things that have yet to be created, the creation that exists in the darkness of things we can't see. And when I think about astrology, this is a science, of course, a study that's in this realm. But also when I think about how I feel about it, it's exciting, just like witnessing the rest of nature that I definitely can see. I mean, I can see the sky and the stars at night, but what is that real relationship with space? Because there's like a cap on what I can see in space. I'm so far away, yet right in the center of it. And I'm saying we, right? We're so far away, yet right in the center of it. And yet there are people who feel in their spirit who dare to continue studying it because the great unknown is the source of creation in all ways, in all things. So every time you feel emotionally these different patterns or elements in your life, always take a moment of stillness to think about space. Inquire about space. Go into the depth of, I haven't seen it yet, therefore I don't know if it exists. I'm still deciding what I think about it. Go into the great unknown of the more that I sit here and contemplate space, the more I'm actually traveling because I'm going beyond the things that I know and understanding that I know them on a certain level and moving into the part of my life that is very much unknown, which is very much exciting to try and bring myself to terms with. Space. This is the creator's element. This is the healer's element, but it's also the deep thinker and deep feeler element. And I don't think we spend enough time talking about space. In the emotional realm, it is liminal. It is what is between this stage and that stage. It is between those other elements. It is the bowl or the container that's keeping them all together to be witnessed as one at different points in time through their power, strength of destruction and creation. But space is the 360. And so, yes, we are existing in space, witnessing these elements that other people in space may not be witnessing. But it is space that allows us the space to see them, to understand them, to embody them, to emote from them. And I would love if we would spend so much more time thinking about this, feeling into this, not continuously trusting things that we learned when we were single digits as our solutions forward, but really deepening the reality of space. That's my elemental word today. Like, share, subscribe, comment. Let me know your feelings. And other than that, I look forward to talking to you on the next video. Peace.